Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome to Side Hustle Ideas. I am Bill, the company's expert. And today, the title of this episode number 51, is How to Pick the Right Business Idea. And the subtitle is How Avoid Your Hard Work Coming to Nothing. This is very important. Learn to be a rainmaker and have your venture take off. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Thank you for joining me. In fact, thank you to my YouTube channel members. You guys are awesome. Thank you to my super thanks donors. Thank you to my subscribers. Thank you to the participants. If you are here, this is mainly a Q&A. So if you see my face, you should see a chat box. Get in the chat box. Let me know what you're struggling with. Let me know what you're wondering. We're here to talk about side hustles, business, entrepreneurship, all that kind of stuff. And that's what we're going to get into. I see there's 14 people here. Thank you for joining me here today. I hope you guys appreciate, as always, all the extra care and trouble I put into doing my hair this morning so I could look pretty for you guys. I know that's the reason that people keep coming back, and it always will be. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And I'm going to kick off this episode talking about the title, How to Pick the Right Business Idea, until I get a bunch of questions, in which case I will move over to answering questions. So yes, welcome. I really need to give myself more time before I launch these. I'm just sort of, it's ready to go, and it's ready to go live. But as we all know, punctuality is a highly prized trait, and we need to sacrifice a lot for that sometimes. Okay, so a lot of people are starting businesses. A lot of people want to start businesses, and you want to make money doing it. But the first question a lot of people have is, what should I do? What should I sell? Should I sell products? Should I sell services? You know, what industry should I get into? What would make sense? And while this may seem like a total crapshoot, right? It's going to be a different answer for everyone. There is actually a lot of science that has gone into studying this problem. Namely, what things should you do that are most likely to lead to success? And when I say success, I mean financial success, okay? They've actually put a lot of work and effort into this. And what I'm going to talk about comes from an effort that I've mentioned before. It's called PIMS, or at least the modern word is PIMS. It's an acronym. It stands for, what does it stand for? It stands for something like profit, increase, maximization, something like that. But it was a study that started in the 1960s, and it was originally done by General Electric, GE, and then today that has been taken over, and that is now part of the Boston Consulting Group in the United States. Boston Consulting Group being, I believe, still the number 2 management consulting company in the US. So this forms the backbone of what they talk about and what they advise and all this kind of stuff. So we're going to talk about that. Now, a lot of people, when they start out, they kind of start out thinking, I want to do a business. And the first thing that pops into their mind is what they would like to do, okay? What they find fun and enjoyable, or what they could speak to, like in terms of if you had talent or a skill, what could you do for other people that they might want to pay for, right? Now, obviously that stuff is important, but what is a common scenario is that maybe you have a couple of different ideas and you're really trying to pick between them. You know, maybe you have 2 hobbies, or you have like one profession. Maybe you're thinking of doing it on the side, something like that. But it's hard to pick. And the question that forms in people's minds is, which one will be more profitable to me? Because I could do both. I could see myself doing both. They're both wildly different. What should I choose? Okay. So the first thing we're going to talk about is something that came out of that PIMS study that I've been talking about for years and years. And I've actually incorporated this into a lot of the work that I've done in business. And it stems from a very specific principle. Okay. And that is this. It's that performance, financial performance of a business depends on three things, okay? And these three things are in order of priority, okay? Here they are. The first one is the market. The second one is your competitive position. And the third one is what they call strategy. Let's talk about those. Okay, so what this is saying, and this is based on extensive studies with data that they've done over decades. They've studied many types of companies, like what used to be called conglomerates, companies that did many, many different things, or pure play companies, which means that they only do one thing. They're only in one business. That's all they do, right? They've studied large companies. They've studied small companies. They studied companies in many, many different industries. They studied companies in many, many different countries and parts of the world. So this was a very, very diversified study. And what they looked at is they looked at what was the situation of these companies and what were they doing, and what was their financial performance, what was their results. And they tried to come to see if there was any conclusions you could draw about what thing generally led to making more money or generally led to making less money. And this is what they found. The first thing that financial success depended on was the market, meaning, hopefully everybody knows what a market is. It means a group of customers or potential customers. So whatever it is that you want to do, the most important thing is that there are people out there that want to buy it. Okay, those people exist, and there's a lot of them, right? That's the first thing. That's the most important thing. The second thing that success depends on is your competitive position. What does that mean? That means, are you in a position to be able to deliver, like to serve that market, to be able to deliver a product or service? Is that within your capabilities? Do you have some special advantage of being able to do that? Okay. And then the third thing that it depends on is what they called strategy, which what they meant was everything that you do, like how you run your company, the quality of the decisions you make. Are you smart? Are you stupid? Are you informed? Are you ignorant? Are you capable or are you incapable? All of that, like everything that you do, how the company is run, they call that strategy, and they grouped all of that into the third factor that they found. Okay, so what's really, really interesting about this is that strategy is not first. How you run your company is not the biggest factor that will determine whether what you're doing will lead to financial success or not. That was an earth-shattering conclusion at the time. Okay? Now, let me give you an example to illustrate precisely what this means, what the implications of this principle are. Let's take an example of someone who is selling houses. This is probably the easiest example to understand, okay? Let's say you're a builder and you want to go into, or you want to go into the business of being a home builder, like a house builder. You build houses and sell them, okay? Now, what this principle is telling us is it's answering the question, will this venture be a success, okay? And so what it's saying is that the most important factor to consider to determine whether this is going to be a success is the market. That's the question. Are there people who want to buy houses? And specifically, in the thing you want to do, maybe the geographic region you want to be in, are there people that want to buy houses in that region? Okay? Now, if there's not many people wanting to buy a house in that area where you want to build, that's going to tell you that most likely this venture will not succeed. If, however, there are a ton of people that want to buy houses in that region, and they've got their wallets out, ready to give you their money, and they're lined up all around the corner, they want to buy a house, that's telling you that this is the number one most important factor that will indicate to you that this business venture of building houses will be financially successful, okay? Before you look at any other consideration, that's the first thing that determines whether it's going to make a lot of money or not. Okay, so you then have to go out and answer that question. Are there a lot of people that want to buy houses in that area? So you could look at things like, how many houses are available, how many houses are selling, what's their selling price, how long are they on the market before someone buys them, things like this, right? You can easily determine that. The second most important factor is competitive position. Now, why can some people make money at this game and other people can't? Well, probably a really important answer to that question is some people have access to land on which to build houses. Or maybe only certain people are given permission by the government. They're given a license or whatever you need that allows you to go out and build houses that you can sell to people as their primary residence. Maybe there's some governmental political thing there where only certain people are licensed by the government to be able to do this. Or it's more of an economic thing where the people that develop the land, they only sell their lots of land or parcels of land to certain companies, and every other company is sort of blocked from doing that, from access to the land. Okay, in which case the companies that have access to land have a much stronger competitive position. They have something that enables them to take advantage of this, whereas other people can't. Okay, so what's your competitive position? Would you be able to get access to to whatever you need? In this case, land. And then the third most important factor is how you run the company. Okay, so this is maybe why we see what we see. And what I have observed in, like, for example, the residential real estate industry is that you get a lot of companies that are terrible at running their company. They don't know anything about business. They certainly don't know anything about good client relations. They're terrible to deal with. They lie to their customers. They don't build a very particularly good house. It's very shoddy and it's not very good. But they're still making money hand over fist, and business is booming. Why is it? It's because of this principle. Because strategy and everything you do is only factor number 3. Factor number 1 is there a market? And factor number 2 is what is your competitive position? So this may help you to make the decision of what business you should get into, what business idea you should try as a side hustle or as a startup venture. Let's go over to the comments. We've got a comment. We got Mohammed. Welcome, Mohammed. Mohammed says, "Hi, Bill. I've been watching your video for a while and helped me getting better. Thank you for that. I was watching you yesterday, but not sure. Is this your last podcast?" No, this is not my. Well, I hope not. I hope this is not my last podcast. I don't intend it to be. I do these days. I'm doing 2 live streams every week, both on Mondays. This is the first one called Side Hustle Ideas, where we talk about business and entrepreneurship. That's kind of my core competency. And then the second one, which comes in a couple of hours, is called How to Get Hired. And that's where we talk about getting a job interviews, resumes, and the job market, discovering jobs, hidden job market, networking, all that kind of stuff. I did have a third live stream, which I would like to resume at some point, which was called Leadership, where we talk about the qualities you need and, to be an executive or to be a business leader, if that's something that you're into. So I've talked about that in the past. Let me know if you want me to bring that one back. But yeah, so there are a lot of people that are wondering this, and this is a simple principle you can use to try and make the decision of what business you should get into, what venture you should try. Okay. There are some people that try to do very innovative businesses where they're almost adopting a startup model, where it's a technically innovative business where they're creating something new and different. And a big challenge for those type of businesses is finding the market. If this thing doesn't exist that you're trying to create, how do you know people want it, right? And you can't just use simple logic and say, well, this is good, people should want it, therefore they will, that's a huge flaw in logic. And anyone who's ever tried to be an entrepreneur knows that logical flaw. Just because people should want it doesn't mean that they do want it. People as a group are usually pretty stupid. We spend more money on movies every year than we do on education. I mean, we have our priorities mixed up. So just because people should want something doesn't mean that they do. And that's a principle that has caused many great ideas to fail. So this is this principle that I'm talking about today is kind of the antidote to that, right? It allows you to detect that. Now, that doesn't mean you can't create something new and different. It just means that you have to go out and validate the idea first. There's no point in creating something from a business perspective if you can't sell it afterwards. You create this wonderful thing, but you just can't get anyone to buy it. Either they don't see the value in it, or they just don't understand really why they would need that. You know what I'm saying? So this is kind of the antidote to that. A lot of people start up non-innovative type businesses. Like the example I always use is that you want to be a plumber. And that has many advantages, because when I say the word plumber, I'm sure pretty much everyone listening to this, you know what that is. You know what a plumber does, and you know why you would need it. And you also know that you probably would have to pay for it. It's reasonable to expect to pay for plumbing services, right? So when I say I'm a plumber, it has all those advantages over an innovative business where someone says, I'm creating this new thing. And when everybody hears about that new thing, they don't know what it is. They don't know what it does. They don't know why they would need it. And they don't understand, even if they know that it might be a good thing, they don't know necessarily that it's something they should pay for. Maybe it's something that you would expect to get free, So these are all the extra challenges that people are up against when they want to do an innovative type business, right? So there's something to be said for traditional established businesses that are non-innovative, okay? You have all these advantages, and it sometimes seems very unfair to the people who are really smart, that are the innovators who are trying to move the world forward. Because it's not new, people already understand what it is, why they need it. There's already a market set up for it. Like, for example, I could very easily, with a simple Google search, find out how many plumbers there are in my region. I could find out what they charge and what services they offer. I know exactly what their contact information is, so I know exactly how to employ them, and so on, right? Like, this is the advantage of a non-innovative business that's already established in its own industry. So there are advantages to that, right? But both can work depending on how you go about doing it, right? So yeah, there you go. If you're watching this, I see there's 15 people here. Get in the chat. Let me know what you're wondering, what you're struggling with, and I will be happy to help. After all, this is a Q&A, and I don't have a big planned out agenda of what I'm going to say. I'm just relying on you guys to come in with your questions. Yeah, this is a very important principle. It's usually the first challenge people have of like, what should I pick? What should I try and do? And this can really help you narrow down and make a decision between your different options. So, yeah. And what you would do ideally is you would verify and validate each of these steps. So you would verify the presence of the market. And like we've talked about previously, the market is simply who are the customers or potential customers? Where are they? How do you reach them? What would you have to say to them or communicate to them in some way to convince them to do business with you, to buy your product or your services? You can validate all of that. Your competitive advantage, that's your ability to produce the thing that you say you're going to. And any advantages you have beyond simply able to produce it, to be able to do it efficiently. Okay, so you can also validate that. And then the strategy part, that's just simply all the decisions you make. So educating yourself on how to do a business, learning things by experience of, what to do, all of that is how you improve on that factor. So welcome to the 24 people. I see there's now 24 people here. Thank you for joining me here today. This is a live stream where we talk about side hustles, business, entrepreneurship, that kind of stuff. A lot of people find that this whole thing, entrepreneurship, is an alternative to working as an employee. I, for one, am one of those people. I'm walking the talk. I'm not an employee of any company. And I haven't been for quite a while. And it's great. It allows you to escape the sort of corporate world or the world of employment if you find that it's not a great fit for your personality or your goals. It's also a useful thing to make money on the side, to supplement your income. If you do have, a conventional career or a day job, you can do a side hustle, so some kind of business entrepreneurial venture on the side, bring in a little bit of extra money every month. I also really like side hustles because, as I always say, they're a great way to learn the ropes of entrepreneurship, and it allows you the option of that being your sole income source later on, if that's a direction you want to go in life. It's not for everybody, but it certainly is for a lot of people. And there's a tremendous amount of opportunities out there, especially in this day and age. And, it's a viable option for a lot of people. So where I talk about careers and stuff, the discussion would not be complete without talking about entrepreneurship because it's a valid option for a lot of people. Okay, Milan is here. Milan says, how would you check if there is a market for a new product without publishing something that will later on make it impossible to patent this new product since you already published it? Excellent question. Now, if you're talking about a patent, okay, presumably you're talking about an innovative type venture, okay? You're creating something new and different, so you would like to patent it. Now, here's a note about patents, okay, and about that kind of thing. I'm going to answer your question, but just bear with me. I'm going to set up something first. So patents. If you're doing an innovative type business, you have a decision to make. And let's say you create something new and different, some new design or new process or whatever it is. You first have the decision to make whether you want to go down the route of patenting it, because an alternative to patenting something is just simply keeping it as a trade secret. Okay, a trade secret, very roughly, is just, something that is innovative that you've created, but you decide not to patent it. The reason why people are not going to steal it from you is because you're going to keep it secret. You're not going to reveal it. Right? Doesn't mean you can't mention it, but you're not going to give out the details, right? Okay, a patent is, you have to go through sometimes a lengthy and complex process of patenting something. Now, in my experience, I've met several people that what they've done is they've tried to do an innovative type business, and the way they've gone about it is they've front-loaded this stuff. They've, instead of like trying to go out and sell something or try and see if anybody wants it, first, they concern themselves with patents. They think, okay, this is something new. I'm going to patent it. And they're so paranoid of somebody stealing this thing that they've created that they're highly secretive about it. And they go down the route of patenting what they've done before they even know if anyone cares about it, right? And so what I've seen several people that have tried to, get an innovative startup off the ground, and they failed because they went down this road. They put all their effort and time and money into patenting something that it turns out that nobody gives a rat's ass about, right? And that's not being in business, right? Business is the making of money by delivering value to a customer. What they're actually doing is they're doing a research project. Okay, they're not in business. It's a research project. They haven't given any thought or any effort to trying to sell anything. They simply are innovating something and then patenting it. And then in the end, it does them, or to this date anyway, it's done them absolutely no good because no one else sees any value in it. So nobody cares. Most people aren't even aware of it. Right? So for that reason, I'm very biased in the direction of, not starting with that. I believe that that's putting the cart before the horse. How do you know you have something that's worth patenting if you haven't made any money? Now, if you can't even prove that to yourself, it's even worse for others. How you really think they're going to try and steal something of yours that even you haven't even shown that it's of any value, right? Okay. So I'd be very wary of that. And what I would do is if you're really worried that somebody might copy your thing and use it to make money for them instead of you, I would try and keep it as a trade secret. Okay, so you don't reveal it all to the world so people can copy it, but you keep the confidential parts, the complex parts, secret. Okay, because we're in the business of making money. If you can't make money with any of this, why waste your time and effort on it? If you are a technical type person, you feel you've innovated something, presumably that's only of value if either you can make money off it, or if someone else sees value in it and wants to buy it off you or employ you or partner with you in some way for them to make money off it, right? Or else you're just patenting your thoughts, right? I've created an original way of, drinking a drink that no one else has ever tried before. And I don't want to reveal it to the world because I don't want them to copy it, right? Now I'm going to go to great lengths to keep this secret from you, right? Do you care? No, if you don't see value in it and I can't make any money off it, are you going to try and steal it from me? Probably not. So, that's my attitude towards that. Now, your question was, okay, how would you check to see if there is a market for a product without publishing something that, you later regret because you wanted to patent it? It's very simple. When you publish something, usually for the purposes of validating something, it's going to take the form of the result, right? You're going to talk about the result. You're not going to talk about the process. You're going to talk about the result. What can this do for you? This product or this service I provide. What can it do for you? Why would you want it? Well, I can solve this problem for you. I can assist you with this. I can fix this equipment. I can deliver this value. Right? You're not talking about the details of your product or service. You're talking about the results of your product or service. Right? So publishing something for the purposes of validating shouldn't interfere with something that you would later want to patent. Okay, those are two different things. I would not be publishing the details of my invention like in a trade journal. You know what I mean? Like, why do that if I want to patent it later? If you're trying to validate something, you're not doing that kind of thing. You're going to customers, you're going to the market, and you're saying, hey, I offer this. I can do this for you. Either I could sell you this product or I offer this service. Here's what it can do for you. Here's what problem it solves and why you would want it and why you should pay for it. And the best form, in my experience, this would take is if you go to your target market, your potential customers, and you say all of that. You say, this is what I've got for sale. This is what it does. This is why you would want it. And you also offer it for sale. even though you haven't created it, you're offering it for sale in advance. You're taking advance orders. Now, if it's a service, presumably it doesn't take much to deliver. If you put this message out there and 100 people say, hey, I'll take 2, and here's my money, then it wouldn't be that hard to deliver. You're not promising something you could never deliver. You're promising something that you could deliver if you had the money and the inclination to do it, right? So if 100 people turn around and say, yes, we want it, we've prepaid for it. Well, now you've got your startup capital to be able to buy tools or whatever you need, and then you can go deliver the service. And there's also an incentive for you to start delivering that service because there's people wanting to pay you for it. So assuming that, you've offered something that you could deliver if people wanted, and assuming that you've priced it correctly, you haven't asked for peanuts, you've asked for a legitimate amount of money that would allow you to make a profit if people bought it from you, then, you could, that's what you're describing here. There's a way that's the way to probe the market, to verify it's there, and verify that they would pay and that they want it and they see the value in it. But yet it doesn't involve you disclosing any highly confidential information that would interfere with some future patent. So hopefully that makes sense. That's a very intelligent question, Len. Ashraf is here. Hello to Ashraf. Limaz is here. Limaz says, hi, Bill. How are you today, first of all? I'm doing great. I've got fantastic hair, and I'm talking about business, so I'm tickled pink. Limaz says, I want to ask something of you. What should we consider before we start investing our money on the stock market? Oh, here we go. A stock market question. Here's what I would say. Learn finance. Now, the stock market, first of all, full disclosure, I'm a bit biased against people that invest in the stock market as their primary income, and they do trading and all this. Investing is a legitimate thing. Several weeks ago, I did a video called The Difference Between Investing and Gambling. So first of all, you should definitely watch that video. Secondly, if this is something you want to do seriously, don't go in as a total green rookie, not knowing anything, because you're going to lose all your money. Okay? If you want to be serious about investing in that world, learn about it, learn the theory, and then learn how it works. There's 2 things you're going to have to learn. The first thing is the theory. You could get that from a variety of sources. It's called finance. That's the topic that teaches you how the stock market works, how investing works, how money works. Okay? It teaches you all the math behind it. It teaches you all the principles behind it. Okay? So go in informed or you will be eaten alive, okay, is what I can say. Now, one place you could get that information is my course here. Okay, the $100 MBA. So that's one place to get it. I would highly encourage anyone watching this, if you want to learn that stuff and you want to learn business, I created this course specifically for people that want a cheap, easy way of learning all this material that will help you start a business, or it'll also help you with things like investing if that's the way you want to go. But that's why I created it, because I believe that you don't have to go to a university and pay like 5 figures to learn this. This information has been around for hundreds of years, most of it. It's in the public domain. You could just buy the books and read them for free. And that's basically the structure of my course. I guide you through the whole thing, but that's basically what you're doing. Okay. So if you're serious about investing as a sort of, that's what you want to be. You want to be some kind of person who just does investing and that sustains them. Learn about it. The other thing you have to learn is the practical elements of it. Okay. The theory itself, it's most of the way, but it's not enough. You got to learn the practical side too. And you learn that by doing and by talking to people that are in the business and all this kind of thing. And being skeptical of what people say, verifying, how it works by jumping in and doing it in a way where you manage your risk. Okay, so that's what I'll say about that. Lima says the customers want the solution, not the product. For example, if they need to drill a hole, they want a drilled hole and not a 10 millimeter drill for the power drill. Yeah, that's a sort of way of putting it, I guess. Costa LP says, hello, Mr. Company's Expert. I recently left my previous job and started a new one in order to have more free time during the day. During this free time, one of my options is to start a side hustle in the area of IT or software development. The only thing left now is to find the idea. Just as your interview/negotiations videos helped me a ton previously as an employee, I am checking this side hustle ideas series for useful info. Yeah, good. There's a lot to learn. What I would recommend anyone who wants to get into the world of entrepreneurship, and side hustles are a great way that's accessible to everyone. You could just put your toe in the water of entrepreneurship you could spend practically no money and still start something and learn a hell of a lot. And what you learn will help you in a corporate career because you will get more of the perspective of the business that you're working for. It'll also open up some options to you. First of all, you have more financial security because if you lose your job or something, you still have income sources. Secondly, it allows you the option of turning your side hustle into a full-blown, full-time business venture where, it makes your entire income. And there's no cap. There's no artificial cap like there are in corporate careers where they only pay you a certain salary, so that can be an important factor for some people. Lima says, I guess I struck a nerve. Yeah, you did a little bit. Listen, it's just the stock market is, or just investing in general. There's many things you can invest in, not just the stock market. There's commodities, there's derivatives, there's a whole bunch of different things. There's a whole bunch of different trading environments for these things, and there's a number of different ways you can do it. It has lured many a rube to their financial destruction. So I'm just preaching caution. The other thing that I personally don't like about trading is that it doesn't inherently add any value. The source of value derives from scarcity, right? You buy something, you hang on to it for a little while, and then when the demand goes up, you sell it. You're not actually improving that thing in any way. So in a way, in a sense, it's almost like you're being a parasite. You're not producing, right? And the problem is that, like, I'm not a master economist. I don't have a PhD in economics or anything, but when you have too many of those types of people in an economic system, it leads to bad things. So, that's my kind of issue with it. I'm wearing my biases on my sleeve here. Okay. I have a master's degree in finance, so I understand it. I believe I understand it, but there's just something about it where I don't want to just rely on that as an income source because it's more of an ethical thing, right? So for a lot of people, that isn't an issue, but for me, I'm a technical person. I'm an engineer at heart. I have a degree in engineering. I believe that, value is created by you doing something, right? Rather than just hoarding something, waiting till people really need it, and then giving it to them. You're not actually helping in any way. You're not helping move the world forward. That's just my opinion. I mean, that's just where I'm coming from. So that may explain my slightly more severe reaction to your question earlier. It's nothing personal. It's just that there's a lot of people that want to get rich quick, and they think that, stocks, buying stocks and shares is the way to do it because they've heard that, but they're really not informed about what they're trying to get into. So get informed, learn your trade, and it will pay off many times for you. Milan says, thank you very much for this answer. This cleared a lot of questions I had about the process, R&D packets, market, and sales. Yeah, listen, you can go this route. Now, there are some people out there that are experts on patenting. There's patent lawyers. There's entrepreneurs that have done a lot of innovative type stuff, and they've patented a lot of things and made money. So what I would do is, if this is something that you really want to do, I would learn the ability of being able to go and have informational interviews with people. Okay. I've talked about that on this channel a lot. That's a very, very useful skill. The idea is that if you say want to be a doctor or something, but you know nothing about the medical profession, you don't know how it works, or if you decide to go into med school, what you can expect and what jobs are there, at the end of it. And, you want to learn that stuff, but no one in your family has ever been a doctor. How would you learn it? Well, you can use some of the wonderful tools we have at our disposal, like Google and LinkedIn, to find all the doctors around you, to connect with them, send them a message saying, hey, I'd love to get your expert opinion, about being a doctor. I'm thinking of maybe becoming a doctor. Would you be able to spare me 30 minutes of your time? We could sit down and, you send that out to a lot of people. Most of them won't respond, but a few will, and they'll say, sure, come on down. I'm free right here. So you go down and you have a very pleasant conversation with a medical professional, and you get to ask them, all the insider information of, like, what's it like being a doctor? Was it tough at school? Did you get to do the thing you wanted to do? Did it turn out the way you were expecting? What advice would you give to aspiring young people that want to be doctors? This kind of thing. And you get a variety of information from people like this, and that will point you in the right direction. So if you're wanting to start a business, you can do the same thing. You can connect with all the entrepreneurs around you, or all the CEOs that are running companies that are in the industry that you want to be in. And you can sit down with them and you can ask them all kinds of questions, what it's like, and where's this industry going, and what was your journey personally, and what advice would you give, and how does this work, and how does that work? And you can get all this information. It's out there. It's all accessible. You just need to learn how to access it. And that will save you from making all kinds of mistakes, and it will shave years off your journey to success. Right? So instead of taking 10 years to be a success at your own thing, you could do it in 4 or 5, right? Or less, depending on, how it goes. So if you're wanting to go into the world of investing, I'd give the same advice. Go talk to people that are in that business, learn all the theory behind it first, then go talk to all the people, get the practical side, and, you can definitely make it work if it's what you want to do, but you have to go about it in a smart way. So yeah, Milan, I wish you the best of luck, and thank you for saying such nice things about me. Limos, in a world where buying not always means ownership, I accept being a parasite on a small scale. I've been advised to carefully pour my money into stock, so for now, I only move around $50. Yeah. Listen, I didn't mean anything disparaging about people who invest for a living. I don't. What I'm saying is that this is the thought process is why I have not chosen to make that my main line. Because having all the theoretical side, it could be a direction I might have wanted to go, but I chose not to go in that direction for reasons similar to what I explained. That's how it feels like to me. It doesn't, and just because it's my opinion doesn't mean that it's something you should, internalize or, anything like that. In a sense, one could argue that in a capitalist system, we all are parasites to a degree, in the sense that we care about self-interest. You know what I'm saying? Like, what I talk about in my videos about, how to get a job, that's all driven by self-interest. We all need to eat. We all want money, and we all want more of it, as much as we can get within reason, right? As long as we're not breaking the law, and as long as we're not crossing a lot of ethical boundaries, Most people want to make as much money as they can for themselves. It's all driven by self-interest, right? Now, at what point do you say someone is a parasite for thinking like that? Everybody draws the line in a different place. It gets into a whole political and moral discussion, right? I'm just saying that for me, it started to cross that line a bit by being a full-time investor. What a lot of people do is they go into real estate and they will buy houses or buildings, like apartment buildings, and they will charge rent. And, even that, I personally have a bit of a moral qualm with it because, you're making money off people, but, they are stuck in the cycle of renting, right? And if you buy up all the houses and then rent them out, what that does is, in theory, if enough people do this, is that it drives up the prices of houses. So it's very hard for people to buy their own house. So they're forced into that renting cycle. And it just feels a little bit unethical to me. That's all. That's just my own personal opinions. But other people do it, and they do it with a clear conscience, and fine, it's not breaking any laws, and all the more power to them. But for me, it wasn't the right thing. Okay, Limos continues. Most important for me, as for now, is a passive income that doesn't require much activity since my job consumes a lot of time and requires individual take to my clients. And now ETF seems okayish for me. What's ETF? I hate when people use acronyms. If you could spell that out, that would be good. Look, it's the dream. Everybody wants passive income, right? And it's not necessarily bad, but some things that promise passive income, personally, I have decided it's not for me. But my advice for everyone is, it follows a basic pattern, which is learn your trade, learn the business. If you want to be in business, first of all, learn business as a topic. If you don't understand the principles of marketing and you don't understand the principles of entrepreneurship, it makes it a real challenge to try and make money and be a success in this game. It's like saying, I want to be an actor, but I refuse to take any acting classes. I mean, that only raises the bar even further for you, to be a success. If you say, okay, I want to be an actor, but I'm going to learn everything I can about acting and I'm going to practice. And I'm going to not just learn the theory, but I'm going to get lots of experience. I'm going to act in, I don't know, local theater or, whatever. I'm going to get in front of an audience. I'm going to maybe I'll do stand-up comedy. I'll do performance art. I'll learn how to sing and do musical performances. I'm going to get a lot of experience in front of an audience, and I'm going to learn all the theory. Then I would say, okay, your odds of being a successful actor go up dramatically, right? So the same thing for business. If you want to be in business, this stuff really isn't rocket science. Learning the theory is not that hard. I've taken engineering, I've taken business. Business is a picnic compared to learning things like engineering. And even within business, business in general is a lot simpler than specific areas like accounting. Accounting is one of the hardest, most challenging areas of business for a lot of people when they take a business degree. But you don't have to be an expert accountant to understand the basics. So I would encourage people to learn all you can about the theory, how business works, how it could work for you, and then go out and try and get some immersion into whatever industry you're thinking of being a part of. So if you want to be in the world of software development or you want to be in the world of investing or whatever, go out and talk to people in those worlds, people that know stuff, people that are leading local companies and things, And instead of asking for advice, just ask them about what they've done and what they're doing and why they're doing it and what their opinion is of what should be done and things like this. And don't just talk to one person, talk to a variety of people, and The ultimate, I mean, I hate to say this, but the ultimate way of really getting immersed into anything is to actually get a job in it. You don't have to stay in the job forever, but just be on the inside. You see all the inner workings, right? If you wanted to start a construction company and you don't know how to go about doing it, the best thing you can do would be to get a job in a construction company, stay there for 6 months, take note of everything you see, make a few connections, right? Learn how it's done on the inside, and then you will come out of there knowing so much about how to operate a construction company, right? So, you know what I'm saying? Learn all you can, and you could really be a success. Now, obviously, you don't have to go to those great lengths to do every little side hustle, but that's the principle, okay? If you're just doing a side hustle, you know, you want to do passive income, you want to do an internet side hustle, I would say start trying things. Go and put your marketing message out there. Say, I have this for sale. I can do this service, or I have this product. Is anyone interested? And if you get absolutely no bites, no interest, that tells you something. If you put out something and you get a ton of interest and all these people stepping up to give you their money and say, I want that, that tells you something else, you know? Start doing that. And then do the smallest possible thing that you can do that would allow you to sell something that people would want, right? And don't go to great lengths to develop anything before you know if there's demand for it, right? That's the basic pattern of how to go about doing this stuff. And as I've said, if you are wanting to learn the theory of business, you know, how business works, and what I found many years ago is that, like my journey, like 20 plus years ago, more than 20 years ago, was, you know, where do you go? At least in my case, back then, I went to the local bookstore, and, you know, I bought books on accounting and business and marketing, and, you know, I read them, and there were a few good ones, but generally they weren't very good. There was a lot of BS. There was a lot of people packaging their own opinions as like the study of business. So you get this book on business thinking, I'm going to learn how business works. Really, you've learned somebody's personal thoughts on business, and they're not really equipped to write a book on business, right? So that's the problem. So if you want to really learn this stuff properly, the best place that I found were textbooks. The textbooks they use in university to teach business. So you could go online and you can find in my local university in the business program, what are all the courses they're teaching and what are the textbooks? And you could go and order those textbooks from places like Amazon. And you could get a slightly older edition of it where it's all the same, except the pictures are different and maybe a couple of examples are different, but it's the same book. And you can get it for like literally $5, right? So, you know, that's the way I would encourage people to do it. Now, what I've done is I've essentially prepackaged that into my course. So I keep pointing the wrong way here. This course here, the $100 MBA. So, I mean, if you're interested in learning it, that's what I'd recommend. There's a link in the description if you want to learn more. But it's cheap, it's effective, and you can do it on your own schedule, and you don't have to quit your job. You don't have to go back to school. You just do this on the side when you have some time. And as you're reading it at your own pace, you can pick and choose what you're interested in. If you don't care about, you know, I don't know, economics or something, you know, you could really gloss over that. Maybe just get the basics and focus more on what you're interested in. So for LIMAs, I think it's LIMAs, you know, you would want to read the finance books in depth, right? And really internalize all those principles and how it all works. And then you'd be, you know, prepared to take on the world of investing, right? You know what makes sense and what doesn't. Esteban says ETF is exchange traded fund. Okay, great. Samp says, aren't employers wanting to create good employees? Keep our entrepreneur spirit to the bare minimum? A lot of them are, yeah, you're right. I mean, generally speaking, your employer will not assist you in you starting up something on the side because they don't want that. It's a conflicting priority. And if an employee is going to choose where their loyalties lie, is it to their employer for their day job, or is it to their side hustle or their own company, this thing that they themselves have created? And, they're going to choose their own company every time, right? Employers know this. So they have a vested interest in not encouraging employees to start up their own ventures on the side. In general, there's exceptions to everything, but that's the general rule. So yes, you are correct. But we're not here talking about how to be a good employee. We're here to talk about how you can do something for yourself if you have an ambition to do your own thing, right? Your own business, either as a side hustle or as a full-blown, full-time business venture that is responsible for your entire income. Samp, so why is it normal for us to just get a job? Well, there's a variety of reasons. One reason is that it makes sense for the economy. Big companies exist to solve big problems. If you are Boeing or Airbus, one person can't build jumbo jets in their garage and sell them, right? You need many, many people to do this, right? Space exploration is the same thing. It takes many, many people because it's a big challenge. So you need to have all these people pulling together, and that's why you need big companies to manage all of that. Another less kind reason is, in my opinion, this is controversial, but it's because a lot of people they would rather not learn. They would rather just fill their bellies and not have to learn things. And one of the things that they don't want to learn is how to make money. Right? A lot of people, for whatever reason, they don't want to learn how to make money because it's hard. Oh, I don't want to have to do that. And it's also probably caused by you not having been exposed to that during your education, right? Education is entirely filled with people who are in the system, right? They're not free-thinking people that go their own path. They're people that get a job and do what they're told, and they've never been outside of that in their entire lives. So it's pretty hard for them to really teach you how to be a nonconformist and go your own path successfully. They can teach you how to complain about something, but in terms of, actually being able to, opt out and then do something successfully, make your fortune, make more money than you could as an employee. I think, in my personal opinion and in my experience, they've done I've never seen anyone do a good job of that, because it's a completely fundamental different mentality from what they themselves have, right? So, you know what I mean? So people don't think like that. And, that's one reason why it isn't on the radar for a lot of people. They just assume, well, I have to get a job. And for a lot of people, that's fine. There's nothing wrong about having a job. It's right for some people. If you want to be a surgeon, right? Why should you have to learn business? Learn surgery and be a commensurate expert on it, and then you could go save lives. And let hospitals and governments and whatever businesses I'm in Canada, so the healthcare system is government run here, but in other countries it's all private. So, certainly in the US it's private. So, let them worry about the administration side of it, and you just focus on being a kick-ass surgeon. It makes sense. But for other people, if you have tremendous talent, you can create something that would do a lot of good to a lot of people around the world, and you can make a fortune. The amount of value you're creating is tremendous. Why should that value not go to you? And you do it on your own terms, and you're allowed to create the thing that you want to create instead of doing what you're told at work by your boss. Samp says, why does the Boeing CEO take 20 million in bonuses, but then Boeing not able to create safe planes? Well, now we're getting into political stuff. I don't know how Boeing operates. We need more education by people like you on entrepreneurship. There's a lot of education out there. There's just not a lot of people listening, and this is the problem. I think children need to be introduced to this kind of stuff earlier on. Instead of like waiting till people turn 18, they get out and they don't know what they want to do and they don't know what there is to do. And this was an option that no one ever, introduced to them in an inspiring way. So I can't comment on Boeing, but I will say one thing, okay? There's two things about CEO compensation, and I mean, this doesn't apply to me. I'm not a CEO anymore, and I was only the CEO of a very small company. The thing that when people talk about CEO compensation, first of all, CEOs make a fraction of, what like some entertainers make. Second thing is that in an organization, you have all these different layers, right? These levels, all the way from like the most junior person at the bottom that sweeps the floor, all the way to the CEO, and beyond the CEO, sometimes to the board members. And the thing is, in that hierarchy, you can't have a boss paid less than their subordinate, right? By definition, as a boss, you have more responsibility, and you shouldn't make less money than the subordinate under you who follows your instructions. So I know there's some exceptions to this, but generally that's how it works. So the problem is if you have 140 layers in your organization and you started off with minimum wage, by the time you get to layer 140, that's the kind of numbers that they're running. If you artificially make the CEO take a lot less money, and this is up to the board. The board decides how much the CEO gets paid. The board represents the owners of the company, or they are the owners of the company. They decide how much they pay the person to run their company. If they decide to reduce that, then you have to reduce every single person under it so that that rule of a boss not getting paid more than their employees still holds up. That's the problem, right? That's one factor. The other thing is that if Boeing makes $1 billion a year profit, let's say you are the CEO. Now, you're at the helm. You have a ton of talented people beneath you. But because of your decisions at the top, you could create a situation where all those people and all their talent result in no value because you get them all working on stupid things that don't make sense. So for all their talent and all their ability, they don't generate anything that anyone wants to buy, right? In the case of Boeing, it would be like you get them all making a stupid design for a plane that doesn't work and it's unsafe and nobody wants to buy it. So because of your decision, all those people, all their work goes for naught, right? But if you do your job right, all the work they do shines and you create a ton of value. You make a plane that everybody wants to buy, everybody loves, right? Because of you. You are the gatekeeper of that. Now, when someone turns around and says, congratulations, your thing that you did made $1 billion, and they say, okay, well, we'll allow you 0.5% of that for you to take home. Would that feel fair to you? Considering most employees make, they take home about well over 20% of the value they create. Sometimes up to 50%. If you make $2 million for a company in a year, somebody can take home $1 million. That's quite common. If you make $100,000 for a company in a year, you can take home $50,000 in your pay, right? The reason why they keep the other half is because of volatility a lot of times. That's what it goes to. Some months they make no profit. Other months they make a ton of profit, but they have promised to pay you regardless. So That's why they keep that top half, right? So you get into all these questions. It's interesting because I usually don't engage on these type of questions. It's just very political and everybody's got their own opinion. But these are some of the factors when we talk about that. Namrit says, what is your day routine? Well, my day routine today is getting up. I make sure my consulting side of the business, which I do business consulting, is I look at my schedule, I look at the plan for the week, and then I get on YouTube and I do live streams because on Monday I don't schedule any consulting business. That's my daily routine. I'll take a handful of meetings in a week, and the rest of the time I'm just doing YouTube because I find YouTube fun. Samp says, well, we're only taught to get a 9-to-5 in school. Yes, I know. Now, I'm not knocking it. A lot of people get 9-to-5 jobs. There's a reason why, like we talked about, but I do think they should at least offer it as an option. Any kind of artistic, creative hobby you've ever wanted to do, you could turn into a business. Wouldn't it be great if you could do the thing that, is creatively satisfying to you? It gives you great pleasure. You feel it's a real talent of yours where you'd have something to contribute. You have something unique that you could offer the world. But then they tell you, okay, you have to give that up and go get a job. Go do something you hate to make your money, right? Well, one of the good things about entrepreneurship is that, if you learn business and you have some brains and you are willing to work hard, you could turn your creative hobby into a business. You could. Doesn't mean that you always can, but you could. It's possible, right? Doesn't mean that you don't have to compromise on certain things and tweak it a little to be what people want, but it is an option. Okay, it is an option. And some people would take that option and succeed at it if they were introduced to it and if they were taught the necessary skills to be able to do this. That's what I believe. Sam, so it seems like it's engineered like this. Yeah, it is. It is. It's not coincidence. But remember, the people, here's my personal opinion here. My experience is every time I've interfaced with the educational system, I've encountered people whose mentality is the most polar opposite to any kind of entrepreneur type mentality. These are people that are conformists. They go from being in school as a student to teaching the class as a teacher. They've never come out of that system. They've never gotten any real world experience of, you have to, the things that succeed have to deserve to succeed, and all this kind of stuff. Because that's what the world of business is like. You can't dictate to customers to buy your product. You have to persuade them. They have to choose to buy your product. They have free will. So if your thing is to be a success, it has to be something that other people agree is a good thing and they want to buy, right? And so business is basically about making that happen. How can I create something that people want? Right? So that's the kind of thinking you need. And I don't see a lot of that in education. A lot of education that I've seen is about dictating. It's about having a captive audience where you feel you can force your opinion on them. You don't have to, classes are not voluntary. A lot of teachers don't feel that, they don't say classes are optional. You can come if you want, but you don't have to, and it won't count against you in any way if you don't. And then the teacher then tries to make people want to come to classes. I've never seen that. I've never seen anything close to that. I understand why, but my point is that it cultivates this mentality of you do as I say because I say it. And the problem is that's completely at odds with the real world once you get out of school. People don't just give you a job because you tell them to give you a job. It doesn't work like that. You have to persuade them that they should want to hire you, right? Same idea. Up. Oh, my good friend there, up, down, left, right, that we're like this, says, hi, I'm kind of late to the party. That's okay, as long as you got here. Currently building an enrichment program for kids and teachers around origami. Currently doing Q&A research from parents. Okay, that's good. That's good. That would be a part of it. I imagine if you're trying to appeal to kids, a big part of it also would be to get feedback from the kids, right? It's great that the parents are into it, and those are some of the people you have to persuade to get the kids into the class. But I'd imagine once the kids are there, you'd also want to make the kids want to be there, right? So you're on your way. Avid Runner says, hello, Bill. I'm new to your channel. Thank you for the info you provide on your channel. Do you have any how-to network videos that I can watch? I don't like online platforms like LinkedIn. Oh, you can network in a variety of ways. Now, I do have a playlist on my channel. What was it called? It's on the homepage. I'm just going to try and pull it up. Just bear with me 1 second here. I'm pulling up my web browser, and I'll see if I can show this to you rather than just talking all about it. There's a playlist where I give you sort of a basic overview. Here it is. I'll see if I can share my screen. Okay, so this is my YouTube channel. Okay, so if you scroll down, I have some playlists here. This is the playlist here, how to tap the hidden job market. Okay, so I did this 3 years ago? I did this a while ago. It gives you the basics. I also have a video that's in the description box below. There's a link to it. It's called How Successful People Get Jobs, which is about some basic networking things you can do online. But it does require LinkedIn. At least in that video, I use LinkedIn. Okay. LinkedIn is a pretty useful tool. I mean, it's not the be-all, end-all, but it is a very useful tool. Just like Google and Google Maps is a very useful tool. ChatGPT is a very useful tool. They're not. None of them are the be-all, end-all, but they're very useful. So LinkedIn can help you with things. Now, if you're a raging extrovert, you don't need LinkedIn. You can go to events. You can go talk to people in person. You can show up in person and do everything face to face. And there's a lot of advantages in doing that. However, LinkedIn can help you discover individuals in specific jobs or specific places or organizations that you can then reach out to. So it's a useful tool. So, I mean, there's things I don't like about it too. I think it really went downhill when Microsoft bought it, as is the pattern. I think everything Microsoft buys, in my opinion, just turns to crap. But whatever. I mean, it still is pretty useful. So I would not shut yourself off from it. You'd be doing yourself a disservice. But you can network, obviously, without using tools like this. But it's limiting. It's like saying I refuse to use Google. It's just limiting. Sometimes Google is pretty useful. Still. Now, to answer your question, I mean, that whole networking thing, it's not something you can explain in 5 minutes. It's not something you could explain in an hour. It's something that it takes many hours to lay down all the principles for, especially for young people that have not done a lot of this type of activity before. It took me years and years and years to learn this stuff, like on the job. Coincidentally, it's also, it's kind of what you learn to be an executive. It's this whole area that you kind of need to know to be an executive that you don't need to know to be a middle manager or lower. So it's not just to learn how to get a job. It's not just to learn how to sort of penetrate an industry and get on the inside of it. It's also a thing that you learn in your corporate career. But it took me many, many years to learn it. So it's not something I can explain very quickly. And I run into a lot of problems on this platform when I try to explain networking, because there's so much to it. You teach a little piece of it, and then that piece doesn't make any sense because you're missing all these other areas. So that's why I put it into a course. And really, that's the bulk of this Get Hired course. It teaches you how to get a job for different ways, and a big chunk of it is networking. And I lay it all out in that course. So the best sort of thing I have from beginning to end, where I explain the principles of networking, how you can do networking as an introvert, how you can do networking. Back in the day, it was like in the times of COVID where, there was social distancing and lockdowns, and, it was hard to go and, talk to people. It was hard to go to an event. So a lot of people did networking online, and that also tied in with a lot of introverts or technical people that would rather do things online remotely rather than do it in person. It plays into all that. It's like how you can do it using tools like Google and LinkedIn. But then it goes into, okay, you use those to discover and connect with people. Then you go and you have maybe an informational interview with that person where you sit down with them. And once you learn how to do that, that opens up all kinds of doors for learning whatever it is you want to learn. Maybe you're looking for a job. Okay, so it would help you with that. But maybe you want to learn about changing careers. You want to talk to somebody in a different area where you're thinking of changing your career to that area, and you want to get some insider information. It would help you with that. Maybe you just want to learn about a particular area. You just want technical knowledge. How does this work? You go talk to a person that, deals with that. So it's very useful for a variety of reasons. And this is what executives need to know how to do, because all the time they're trying to create connections and build relationships with other organizations, whether it's, businesses that will be your client, your institutional customer, or a new supplier, a new vendor. Maybe you want to, have a better dialogue with your regulators or with the media or people that can help you, or there's business opportunities. Maybe there's a company that, it would make sense maybe for you guys to work with. It allows you to contact that company, have a serious discussion with somebody that's in charge there, and get something going, right? So there's a variety of reasons why you would do this. And if you're asking me, have I laid all of that out for people? The best thing I've done is this, where I've showed you how to do networking within the context of getting a job. Because the vast majority of people get jobs through networking, not by applying to job postings cold. But we talk about that on my other live stream. That'll be starting in about 40 minutes. So if that's of any interest to you, check out that course. There's a link to the description in the description box of this video. I also created a informational video about it, so you know exactly what you're getting into before you pull the trigger on any courses that I've created. Also, I wanted to mention this, and this is a good time because it is related to this. I got to point the right way here. This thing here, Write Like a Professional, that also teaches you some elements of networking, particularly the written aspects of it. If you want a good response for someone, if there's someone that can help you, but you don't know how to approach them, you don't know what to say, and you want to send a message that convinces them that you're a professional, intelligent person who's easy to deal with and is not there for any conflict of interest. That course teaches you how to do that, the Write Like a Professional course. Here, God, this microphone is in the way. Right? A lot of times when I see people starting out doing this kind of thing, they send messages and it's got spelling errors in it. They say silly things. And the person might have been amenable to talking with you and to helping you, but because you sent such a silly message that, It communicates the fact that you're not professional, that you're only out for yourself. You don't care about them. You're not very intelligent, not very educated. Like all these things count against you. So being able to send a proper message is good. Not to mention that will help you in your career job tremendously. Sardinier says, what are we enriching our minds with today? Well, people have got me rambling about everything under the sun, so I don't know if that really helps anyone. But the bottom line, I need to wrap this up soon. So the bottom line for today, to the 15 people who are here, is that if you are trying to decide what you want to do as a business, okay, I covered at the beginning of this video this principle that doesn't come from me. It's been out there for decades. It is a study done that's now part of the Boston Consulting Group in the United States. They did this study over a couple of decades, starting in the 60s. They got a lot of data on this, and they concluded that the things that lead to profitability are in order: the market, your competitive advantage, and your strategy. Strategy simply means everything you do to run the company, all your decisions. So how smart you are and how capable you are is not the most important factor to determine whether your business idea will make money and will it be successful. It's not. The two factors that are more important than it are, number one, the market. Are there people that want that thing? If there are a lot of people that want that thing, and they're lined up around the corner and they've got their wallets open to give you their money, if you can give them that thing, that's the number one thing that will determine if your business will be successful. The second thing that's almost as important as the market is your competitive advantage. Are you in a position to deliver that better than other people? Okay? And we were talking a moment ago about, if you had some creative, artistic thing a hobby you wanted to turn into a business, do you have a particular talent for that thing? If you are, then you're in a slightly more advantageous competitive position than the next person to deliver that, right? It's that kind of thing, right? Sam says, I have a dream to become a trader. Okay. Well, hopefully you learn a little bit about trading, because I just want to preach caution. Jumping into trading when you know nothing about finance and you don't know what you're doing, and you don't understand basic concepts like risk versus return, it's a recipe for disaster. So you can make it work. Just learn your craft before you jump in and get totally taken, because that business, it seems like it's about money, but it isn't. It's about information. And there's a lot of misinformation out there. Okay, so being able to navigate that world, ignore certain things, or knowing what few things to listen to and what large amount of things to ignore is very important. Trust me. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Thank you for the people that showed up today. I will be back in about half an hour with my other live stream, How to Get Hired. Until then, I wish you guys all the success in the world. Keep learning. Keep, improving yourself, and get out and try stuff. Manage your risk. Don't spend a lot of money, but try things. Learn by experience also. Check out some of my courses. They can help you in specific areas. If you want to learn business, check out that. If you want to learn networking, how to do that in any context, check out that. If you want to learn how to talk to people, what to say, how to say it, that kind of thing, presenting yourself professionally in a way that people will want to respond to you, check out that, Write Like a Professional. Until next week, I wish you the best of luck. I will see you in 1 week for another episode of Side Hustle Ideas. Take care. Bye.